Ladies and gentlemen, poets, fellow poets, friends, guests, we're here to begin the poetry reading. The Anti-Tea Coffee House Poetry Collective presents news from the 99%, or the 1%. Who are we? Notes from the underground. Somebody said to me, oh, I like tea, so I'm not going to this reading. No, I left out the word party, tea party, because less is more in poetry. I assume you could figure that out. In this poetry reading, another subtitle is Subversive Poems That Challenge Conventional Wisdom. So the main thing in describing the event is subversive poems that challenge conventional wisdom. Our poetry does not have to present specific demands. This is what Ron Price was asking me about. Present specific agendas or be inspired by topical issues or headlines. Our poems should present real voices of real people, the 99%, not the cartoons and tabloids on cable TV, the blogosphere, etc. Now, to paraphrase Walt Whitman, he said he wrote poems inspired by the people, written for the people. And Po Chui, an 8th century Chinese poet, read his poems to washerwomen and other people before reciting them around the city and the countryside. So that's the template for the kinds of poems. So there's going to be a wide variety of poems you're going to hear tonight. And you'll hear, hopefully, poems written by people who lived and worked around here. For example, right here in Greenwich Village, the center of cultural transformation, political change, spiritual change. Edna St. Vincent Millay lived on Bedford Street. E.e.Cummings lived on Patchen Place. And these people lived and worked in this area. W.H.Auden, as Colette reminded me, lived and worked on St. Mark's Place. Of course, Allen Ginsberg, Bob Dylan, Phil Oakes, Joni Mitchell, who are poets as well as songwriters. And this reading celebrates not just poetry, but all the arts. And on another level, we aspire to is to paraphrase Percy Bysshe poetry, Percy Bysshe Shelley, who lived from 1792 to 1822. Poetry animated by political events, a visionary poetry that inspires, shapes politics, and alters lives. Leonard Cohen said something like this: visionary poetry as an advanced god of moral awakening. Poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world, and I would say this is true of all artists. So we're going to begin the poetry reading. There's going to be a short prelude with 4 poets, and I just want to make a brief announcement before I introduce the first poet, and I'll introduce the poets just from how I know them. I'm asking you to please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices, and I'm going to make an announcement as well. This is an announcement from the Metropolitan Transit Authority. Keep your belongings close to you at all times. Remain alert. Protect yourself. Keep cell phones and electronic devices concealed. If you see a suspicious package on the platform or train, do not keep it to yourself. Backpacks and other containers are subject to random search by the police. If you see something, say something. Do not keep it to yourself. Remain alert. Say something. Keep close to yourself at all times. If you see a suspicious activity on the platform or train, do not keep it to yourself. Remember, sexual harassment is criminal activity. If you see someone leering or looking at you in a flirtatious manner, report to authorities or a police officer. We are here to protect you. Protect yourself. Do not, if you see something, say something. Remain alert and have a safe day. Okay. Now the prelude, we're going to have 4 poets read brief poems, 3 minutes of poetry. The first poet to read, they're going to read in alphabetical order, as we always do here. Madeline Artenberg, who I first heard at Phoenix and heard her at the Tribes, writes wonderful poetry, and she has a special poem to present for you, all poems. And we'd like to give a warm welcome to Madeline Artenberg. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie, for including me. First poem was just included in Rattle, and it's called Guardians of the Good. I had 100 unhappy men under me, who never had a woman boss, certainly not a slight girl. Openers, verifiers, packers handled incoming mail for U.S. Customs. When I spoke, they cat whistled and wiggled their middle fingers at me. After the floor captain grabbed a cache of videotapes off conveyor belts, men jammed into the projection room, examined them for anything beyond missionary. I heard their braying, kept to my office, cataloging pornography by violation and country of origin, Denmark, Sweden, Holland. When the floor captain burst through my door, licking his lips, he slapped the day's haul of magazines on the desk, took bets on my stammer and blush. After a while, I slept with one eye open while America rested easy. And this is In the Land of the Snows, epigraph. The number of giant panda in existence is approximately 1,000. Bound by bamboo to Mist Mountain, you haunch sit hungry in your tree den, a distraught Buddha. You spy 2 blank eyes, then sit up, neck strong, rock shift. A monk's ripped body is uncovered. You slump safe against a shrub on a rug of damp skin. Hook with your 4-foot pads, 2-foot bamboo shoots. Grown through the holes in the monk's pierced chest, you chew from end to blood-soaked end. Eating bamboo, eating bamboo. Thank you.
The next poet we're going to hear is Rose Bernal. Now, Rose is a veteran poet. She's been reading on the circuit in New York City for many years, maybe 20, 25 years. And she is also a mentor for many poets, including myself. She helped me reintegrate into the present poetry scene, and I really appreciate that. She keeps saying I'm not a political poet, yet after she read about the Mexican Revolution, she's starting to sound like a Mexican revolutionary. I'd like to introduce Rose Bernal. I'm very honored that she's joining us here for the Prelude. Thank you.
Native American art. This was an exhibition, can you hear me? Yeah. An exhibition at the Museum of Natural History a while back, and it really got to me. Bold, emblazoned ritual in scooped out bowls and spoons, fierce masks, blunt weapons, skin shirts, looping skin and hair, picture birds in the night. Storage chests bulge with faces, all lips and eyes. Flattened arms crossed into totemic pose. Doorposts and lintels flash lightning. A mask carved into a living tree trunk eats and drinks, as alive as the tree. And this is after reading Stubborn by Jean Gallagher. She has recently had 2 books out. And this I wrote in Battery Park City. Light peers through dark clouds. Gray day, gray roiling water smooths. Inner light coddled into divulging something dormant, what can't be stated, perhaps even known. Harsh delight. Green shoots sprout below curving iron fence, over edge of pavement, underfoot. Counterpoint lime facades of structures across the river. And this is the shortest poem on 9/11 I've ever seen. And it's 4 years later. 4 years after catastrophe struck, the clear, sunny September day reflected in the flaming bouquet before me, its clarity extending into my depths where the clench of devastation remains as fresh. And this is the kind of poetry I like to write, but many people don't quite get it, but that's all right with me. What is time between inaction? The relaxation on looking forward, the filling up on the expectation. The wait is a luxury. Who am I? Early pounded into the vibration of the senses. What matters is not within my grasp. I make do with what I can glean. And I'll do a little short nature poem. I do a lot of them too. Exotic oriental lilies bloom one by one on the branches of a long stem into mottled red petals, curling into purple as their anthers dry up. One tight bud abides on its hardening branch. The brooding roses among them nod their heads in the dishevelment of decay, yet one or two continue to hold up. Much depends on one's ability to extend into what's always flowering out of reach.
Thank you, Rose. Very beautiful, very passionate, and also, I said something incorrectly. I meant the Mexican War of 1848, not the Mexican Revolution, which seemed to inspire Rose to, and me as well, because Mexico extended all the way up to Alaska, believe it or not, and the statement, the phrase, or the propaganda at the time was 54, 40, or fight. This meant we were going to go to war with England and with Mexico, all the way up to the areas just south of Canada, just south of Alaska. Okay, so thank you very much for Rose. Now, David Elsasser couldn't make it tonight. He runs the poetry reading series called Parkside Poets. He also was the co-host at Nightingale, the Satin Poetry Series, for 10 years. So his poem is going to be read by Kristin Robie, a fine poet, and I invite her up here to read David's poem. Thank you.
I'm new to the poetry circuit, so I was very honored that David asked me to read in his stead because he had a family matter that prevented him from coming. This is a very amusing poem, just like David usually writes. It's called The Big Picture. Another night watching TV with God on her cloud plush couch. Big picture way too wide for my peripheral vision, pushing out into the globe's four corners, and her, sprawled everywhere, squeezing me into a saggy corner, viewing more random death and disorder. And if I even hint at misery tsunamiing everywhere, she raises an almighty finger to her lips, shushing me unconscious. Almost nothing warrants her intervention, so I seek Job's counsel. Try to suffer divine channel surfing gracefully, night after night, the world looking on helplessly. But I wish, just once, she'd nod off early and let me remote the world right.